Have you ever had that moment of deep resolve? You tell yourself, tomorrow it changes. Tomorrow I'll be disciplined. I'll wake up early, go to the gym, finish all my work, and finally become the version of myself I've been dreaming of. That mental promise feels powerful, like you've broken free from the past and are ready to become your best self. But then tomorrow comes. The alarm goes off. And instead of that motivated version of you jumping out of bed, a completely different person seems to take over. Someone sluggish, hesitant, uninterested in progress. That motivated self who made all those big plans? They've disappeared. And the version of you lying under the blanket can't understand how or why. If this pattern sounds familiar, you're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not lacking discipline or drive. What you're dealing with is a fundamental misunderstanding of how your mind works. Here's the truth. You're not the same person every day. Your moods shift. Your priorities adjust. Your energy levels fluctuate. Your mental state is in constant motion. The version of you who made plans yesterday isn't the same you that's waking up today. And pretending they are, expecting them to behave the same, is why we fall into inconsistency, guilt, and burnout. Let's zoom out and ask, who were you 5 years ago? Think back. What music did you listen to? What did you wear? What did you believe about success, love, failure, or happiness? What dreams did you have? Chances are that version of you feels almost like a different person entirely. And in many ways, they were. Here's where it gets interesting. That same level of transformation happens every single day, just in micro amounts. It's just that daily change is subtle, like a slow drip. You don't notice it until you look back years later. So instead of being one solid, unchanging identity walking through life, you are more like a sequence of evolving selves, a string of different players taking turns. Some days, the version of you that wakes up is confident, hopeful, and productive. Other days, it's distracted, anxious, or tired. And yet we make rigid plans as if the same self will show up every time. That's why change feels impossible. That's why consistency feels like a dream always just out of reach. So, what's the solution? Stop viewing life as a solo mission. Start thinking of it as a relay race, where every version of you is passing a baton forward. Just like in a video game, imagine each version of yourself as a different player picking up from where the last left off. You're not supposed to carry the whole game alone. You're supposed to pass it on. Think about it this way. If you open a game and the last player wasted resources, ignored the goals, or left a mess behind, you'd feel frustrated, right? You'd have to clean things up before making your own progress. That's exactly what's happening when you procrastinate or give in to impulses. Tomorrow's version of you inherits the consequences. And that version has to work twice as hard just to get back on track. No wonder consistency is exhausting. It's like starting from zero every single day. But here's the flip side. When today's version of you sets things up, preps the environment, makes good choices, handles just one important task, it's like leaving a helpful note and a clean desk for the next player. It's like saving your progress before logging off. This is the foundation of real, lasting consistency. Not perfection, not heroic willpower. Just a shift in how you view yourself across time. And science backs this up. There's a psychological concept called future discounting. It means we naturally favor immediate gratification over long-term reward. Your brain literally treats the future version of you like a stranger. That's why you'll eat junk food today, even though tomorrow you will feel sick. That's why you'll stay up late, scrolling even though you know you'll regret it. You're wired to serve the present, no matter the cost. But that wiring, it can be changed. And we'll explore exactly how in the next section. Let's pick up where we left off. Your brain doesn't trust your future self. It sounds odd, but neuroscience backs it. Functional MRI scans have shown that when you think about your future self, say you 10 years from now, your brain responds in the same way it would when thinking about a stranger. That's why we struggle to save money, maintain fitness goals, or stick to habits. The benefits are for someone else, and right now we only care about relief. This is called temporal discounting, the idea that future rewards matter less to us than immediate pleasure. Even when the long-term gain is much greater, most people choose what feels good right now. For example, would you rather get $100 today or $200 in a year? Rationally, the $200 is the smarter choice, but emotionally, most people choose the $100 because now feels real and later feels like a concept. This cognitive trap is why change is hard. It's not because you're lazy, it's because your brain sees tomorrow you as a vague concept, like a blurry photograph. If today you is tired or anxious, it prioritizes short-term escape. And that escape usually looks like scrolling, junk food, avoiding chores, or putting off difficult conversations. So how do we outsmart this? How do we retrain the brain to care about tomorrow? It starts with a powerful mental shift. Stop thinking of your future self as an idea, and start treating them like a real person you care about. Imagine this. What if the you waking up tomorrow wasn't you, but your best friend? or your little sibling, someone you deeply love and want to protect? Would you leave them with dishes in the sink, an inbox full of stress, and no clean clothes? Probably not. You'd want to set them up with comfort, ease, and clarity. This shift, seeing the future version of you as a real, living being, helps override your brain's selfish impulse. It transforms effort into kindness. Taking action no longer feels like a grind, it becomes an act of care. Still, this doesn't mean you suddenly become a productivity machine. You're human. There will be tired days, anxious days, lazy days. So here's the real key. Stop aiming for perfect days. Instead, aim for save points. If you've ever played a video game, you know what this means. You don't finish the game in one sitting. You reach milestones, checkpoints where progress is saved. Even if the session is short, you come back tomorrow and keep going from where you left off. The game doesn't punish you for taking breaks. It rewards you for just showing up consistently, a little at a time. So what does this look like in real life? You're too tired to work out? Don't force an hour-long session. Just do 5 push-ups or take a 10-minute walk. That small act keeps the streak alive. Overwhelmed by clutter? Don't aim to clean the whole house. Just tidy one drawer or clear the kitchen counter. Procrastinating on a big project? Don't commit to finishing it. Just open the document and write the first sentence. This is the true shape of sustainable consistency. Low friction, low pressure, small wins. Each version of you hands off a slightly better situation to the next. No guilt, no burnout, just momentum. And here's where it gets interesting. Small wins compound. That one drawer leads to a cleaner room. That one sentence becomes a finished page. That walk sparks better sleep and mood, which fuels the next day. The brain responds incredibly well to these micro successes. Every time you follow through, no matter how small, it releases dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. That builds a loop. Action, reward, repeat. So instead of fighting yourself, work with your brain. Trick it into loving consistency. Don't say, I need to be productive today. Say, let's just hit one save point. And remember, the future version of you is always watching. Every decision you make today writes their story. Will you be the person who handed off a clean start or a chaotic mess? Most people are stuck in a loop not because they don't try hard enough, but because they try the wrong way. They think consistency is about doing everything, every day with perfect focus. But that model is built for robots, not humans. Real consistency is kindness-based. It's recognizing your limits, honoring your rhythms, and still taking small steps. It's reminding yourself, even if today is hard, I won't abandon tomorrow me. And over time, this approach doesn't just build habits, it builds trust. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, even when it's inconvenient. That identity shift, seeing yourself as consistent, even in small ways, is more powerful than any goal-setting system. Why? Because it becomes internalized. It's no longer about to-do lists or productivity apps. It becomes who you are. By now, you might be thinking, I understand how the brain works. I get that I need to help my future self. I even want to. But when the moment comes, I still don't do it. Why? Let's be honest. This is where most people get stuck. It's not about understanding strategies. It's about facing the invisible forces that live beneath them. Self-sabotage, shame, and the quiet belief that you're not worth helping. This is the war behind the war. You see, we often assume that inconsistency is just laziness or bad habits. But in truth, many people don't follow through not because they lack discipline, but because they're carrying emotional weight that tells them they don't deserve peace, or success, or love. Let me say something that might hit close to home. You can't consistently take care of someone you don't even like. And that someone is you. Think about it. If your best friend was struggling, exhausted, overwhelmed, lost in shame, you'd never say, "You're pathetic. You'll never get it together." But when it's you, that's often the exact tone of your inner voice. This internal cruelty has a name: toxic self-judgment. It's the inner voice that says, what's the point? You'll mess it up anyway. You always quit. Why even start? You're just lazy, broken, weak, so... And the more you believe these messages, the harder it becomes to act in your own best interest. It's not that you lack goals. It is that your goals are fighting against the belief that you are undeserving of their rewards. This is the great paradox. You want to build a better life, but you quietly believe you're not worth the effort. So you make plans and then abandon them. You set intentions and then ignore them. Not because you're a failure, but because you don't yet trust yourself with success. It's like trying to water a garden you secretly believe should stay dead. Where does this come from? For many, it begins in childhood. You were taught that love had to be earned. That affection came only when you performed well, looked right, acted calm. If you messed up, you weren't just corrected. You were made to feel unlovable. And over time, you internalize that message. I am only worthy when I am useful, perfect, or pleasing. So now, as an adult, you find it hard to invest in yourself. Why clean the room when you still feel like the mess? Why plan for a better future when you still carry the shame of your past? This is the core wound, a broken relationship with self. And until that relationship heals, no productivity system will ever feel sustainable. Because behind every abandoned plan is a self that doesn't yet feel safe to succeed. So what's the path forward? It's not more hustle. It's not another app. It's inner reparenting. Reparenting means learning to treat yourself the way a wise, loving caregiver would. It means rewriting the voice in your head to sound more like someone who cares deeply for your well-being. Someone who doesn't demand perfection, but offers kindness, patience, and hope. For example, when you skip the gym, instead of "you're worthless," you say "you're tired. Let's try again tomorrow." When you procrastinate, instead of "you always screw things up," you say, "Okay, what small step feels doable right now?" When you wake up anxious, instead of "here we go again," you say, "let's just breathe. You're safe. We've got this." These shifts may seem small, but over time, they change everything. Because the truth is, consistency isn't built by brute force. It's built by trust. And trust only grows in environments of emotional safety. Let me offer a metaphor here. Imagine your mind is a house, and inside this house are many selves. There's the anxious self, the tired self, the ambitious self, the wounded self, the joyful, childlike self. Each one takes turns coming to the surface. Each one is just trying to survive in the only way it knows how. Now, imagine you, as the conscious adult, are the caretaker of that house. You don't get to evict parts of yourself, but you do get to listen, to lead, and to set the tone. Most people run from their difficult parts. They shame them, ignore them, call them names. But what if you tried something radical? What if instead of yelling at your scared or lazy self, you welcomed them? You said, "I know you're overwhelmed, but I'm not leaving you." This is what it means to be loyal to yourself. And loyalty builds consistency in a way willpower never could. Because when all the versions of you, past, present, future, feel safe in the same house, they start working together. The anxious self stops sabotaging. The tired self rests instead of quitting. The ambitious self dreams without fear of collapse. And suddenly progress doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like partnership. This is the heart of true consistency. A healed relationship with yourself. Not control, not self-hate disguised as motivation, but love and leadership. Let's go back to the beginning. You wanted to wake up early. You promised yourself you'd be productive. You told yourself this time would be different, but it wasn't. You slipped. Again. And now that familiar voice creeps back in. See? You'll never change. But here's what we often forget. Every failure still contains a choice. The choice to shame yourself, or to understand yourself. The choice to abandon the mission or to adjust the plan. The choice to quit, or to hand the baton forward with just a little more grace. Let's rewrite the definition of consistency. It's not doing the same thing every day without fail. That's a myth sold by hustle culture. Real consistency is this: a daily agreement between your present self and your future self to keep moving. Imperfectly, compassionately, and with awareness. That's it. Imagine waking up tomorrow not with guilt but with a clean slate. You don't need to carry yesterday's mess. You don't need to match last week's energy. You simply pick up where the last version of you left off and move 1 inch forward. That inch matters. It's brushing your teeth even when you feel low. It's opening your laptop just to write one paragraph. It's going for a walk when you don't have the strength to run. It's replying to one email when the inbox feels like a tidal wave. Why do these small acts matter so much? Because they send a message to your future self. I care about you. I'm on your side. I'll leave the light on. And that's where things begin to change. Because once your future self trusts you, they begin to show up for you. The inertia fades, the fear softens, the momentum builds. Soon, your life isn't powered by anxiety or adrenaline. It's powered by alignment. You're no longer fighting against yourself. You're collaborating across time. Let's look at another metaphor to drive this home. Picture a relay race. 4 runners, 1 baton. Each runner doesn't need to sprint the entire track. They just need to give it their best for their section, then hand off the baton, clean and strong. That's what your daily life should look like. You today run your section. You don't have to finish the whole race. You just have to pass the baton to tomorrow's you without tripping, without quitting. Even if you stumble, even if you crawl, even if all you can manage is a whisper of effort, that still counts. Because forward is forward. Let's break down a few practical ways to apply this mindset. 1. Start the day with one intentional act. Don't aim for a perfect morning routine. Just do one thing that says, I'm showing up. Make your bed, stretch for 2 minutes, drink water, write 1 sentence in your journal. That's momentum. 2. End the day by saving progress. Before you go to bed, ask yourself, what can I do for future me? Lay out clothes. Write tomorrow's priorities. Set a timer on the coffee machine. Clean one dish. You're not finishing the race, you're passing the baton. 3. Reframe slip-ups as handoffs, not failures. Did you binge watch Netflix instead of working? Okay. Breathe. Reset. Ask, what's one thing I can still do to help tomorrow's me? Even closing the app counts. 4. Visualize your future self as real. Give them a name, an image, a voice. Write them letters. Ask how they're doing. The more real they feel, the easier it becomes to care for them. 5. Catch and challenge your inner critic. Every time you hear I'm lazy, replace it with I'm overwhelmed, but still trying. Every time you say I'll never change, try I'm learning how to show up in new ways. Language matters. This is what emotional maturity looks like. Not perfection, not control, but choosing to show up anyway, even when the plan isn't perfect, the mood isn't right, and the path isn't clear. Consistency isn't a performance. It's a relationship. And like any relationship, it thrives on trust, forgiveness, and presence. Let's say it one more time. You are not one person. You are many. And all of you deserve a life that's gentle, structured, and free of shame. Let every version of you, past, present, and future, join hands and take one step forward together. That's how you build a life that lasts. Not with intensity, but with intention.